Welcome back, everyone. This is the House of Ron. No, this isn't. This is the FloTrack podcast. I do too many second time I've done this. Happy Friday. I'm Kevin Sully, joined by Gordon Mack. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is the email address. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can. You can be a member as well. You can join Gordon's Goons. You can join Kevin's team. Gordon is hearing things in his ear. Are you okay? Your headphones okay? We're off to a rough start.
Well, first of all, he threw me off with the whole House of Run stuff. This is the FloTrack podcast, man, the one and only.
Yeah, I do
It's
too many.
okay. I get
Are you
it.
hearing
You do
things? Your
running
headset's
podcasts.
okay?
I am hearing things in my ear,
Okay.
but apparently it's just me and my head. We should be fine. We got a jam-packed episode. Exciting. Going into Friday weekend, not much track action. We have a little bit of cross-country action. Winding down into the holiday season. We'll do some good recapping of the year pods where we kind of not predict, but we say who the best in this and that, best of this, that, and the other thing. Superlatives of the year, which will be fun next week and the week after. But big episode today. We got some.
What are you
some
hearing?
News.
What are you hearing in your ear? I want to know.
It just sounds like I'm in like a wind tunnel.
Okay. Are your headphones plugged all the way in? Have we tried that? Okay. Gordon's trying to reconnect his headphones. While we do that, I'll remind people you can subscribe to the FloTrack Podcast YouTube channel. Gordon's gonna have to refresh now. We went backwards with our setup here, but you can become a member on YouTube if you'd like. Exclusive content. So hit the join button if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not, you can find the archive and then hit that join button. Get custom GIFs, emojis, all sorts of fun stuff in the chat, and then you get free content. Gordon, can you hear us now? There he is. There we go.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's
all right.
just, we'll figure it out.
We're fine. We're fine. Okay. We're good. Gordon's good. First thing I want to talk about Eastbay Nationals this weekend, formerly Foot Locker Nationals, taking place in San Diego. This is the final national championship for the high schoolers out there, and a lot of interesting storylines. Gordon, on the girls' side, we could start there. Natalie Cook is going for the Garmin Running Lane Championships and Eastbay Sweep back-to-back. She dominated last week in Alabama, so it'll be really fun to see her again in action. Looks like her best competition is probably going to come from someone who did not run at Garmin Running Lane, somebody who was running their regional and looked very good doing it. That's Angelina Perez of New Jersey. If you dive into the speed rankings, those two have the two best marks of the year. Perez committed to Florida, and Natalie Cook committed to Oklahoma State next year.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer we're not going to have any Jenna Hutchins in the 2021 cross country season. But Natalie Cook is running very well, even without someone like Jenna on the scene. And for her to pull off a potential Eastbay Garmin double, who had Eastbay Garmin double as like a phrase in 2021, like 2 or 3 years ago, because everyone was NXN Foot Locker double. Foot Locker NXN double. But now we're in the Garmin Eastbay double.
Yeah. Different world. Hey, we have the championships this year. Last year, we didn't have any. Because you look at the top returners from the meet, and a lot of it's not very useful because you're going back 2 years, which in high school is an eternity.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm excited. Guess what? The audio, it's gone. So my ears are perfect now. Just so everyone knows. I'm in a good space now.
Yeah. Everybody's excited about that. All right. I'm looking at the chat right now. People are joining the Goons, like a lot of people, according to the chat at least. And it's people.
That's right.
I need somebody. But not going back to Natalie Cook in terms of how she's going to do this weekend in Foot Locker. I mean, she won Gordon by like 19 seconds, right? So she's putting forth some pretty strong performances this year. 16:03. That was the second fastest time ever. Only the aforementioned Jenna Hutchins has run quicker over 5K. So I think we could see something special here. Obviously, completely different course. The Morley Park course in San Diego famously has that big uphill followed by that big downhill. The running lane course was pretty flat, so she's going to have to change up in terms of strategy a bit here. But it will be a true test here to see, hey, can she come back 1 week after this really big race, ran an incredible time? Can she do it again against some of the same people, but also some new folks who didn't race against her in Alabama?
Yeah, and I think she will. I mean, you don't win by that wide of a margin and not have, the ability to follow it up against a different field. Like one of the main competitors is going to be someone that she already beat. So
Mhm,
I think that she's the more heavy favorite compared to on the men's side, which we'll get to.
mhm,
But again, anything can happen. You never know. She could have a bad day, and all of a sudden we have a different champion at the East Bay level. But
mhm.
right now, if I'm a betting man, if there were odds, I would put a lot of my cash on Natalie Cook. You can't do that legally yet, but one day I'll be able to bet on Natalie Cook winning the double Garmin East Bay Championship. That's a
What do
great
you
parlay.
think? I thought it was interesting that you have Hutchins, who's committed to BYU, but you have Cook, Oklahoma State, and then Perez, Florida. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Uh, Oklahoma State and Florida getting the 2 and 3 runners right now. Especially the Oklahoma State you can kind of see, but the Florida one is kind of like, wow, okay. Chris Zielinski's doing something special out there again, trying to get a great Florida talent, a great talent into Florida. But
Mhm.
normally, we're used to seeing Stanford getting the top one, or obviously the North Carolina schools. But yeah, you kind of seeing some parity going on where some other schools are able to nab some of the top talent, and it's not just all going to Oregon, Stanford, you know,
NC State,
Colorado, NC State, North
North
Carolina.
Carolina.
So it's it's
Everybody
going
was
it's
going to
going to a
North
few other
Carolina.
schools. Yeah.
Everybody was concentrated on North Carolina and North Carolina State. I thought it was interesting. Recruiting is a little bit difficult to follow the past couple of years just because of the pandemic and the comings and goings. You didn't know who was on whose team, who was transferring. I just thought that was interesting. Okay, let's switch over to the men's side, boys side rather, I should say. Okay, so you have um the Newbury Park crew is not going to be there, obviously. They put all their eggs in the running lane. And so we have Gavin Sherry, who did not run at running lane, coming in probably as the top seed. He won the East Bay Northeast Regional. He's from Connecticut. And then you have some guys who did run at running lane and looked pretty good. And one of them was Zane Bergen from Colorado, who broke up the Newbury Park top four by finishing fourth in that race. Then you also have Riley Ho, who was one spot behind Bergen, who came in as the number one ranked runner. And he actually beat Bergen in the East Bay Midwest Regional. It went Ho, Isaiah Sturry, and then Bergen. So Bergen went from third at East Bay Midwest to getting fourth at running lane. So it's kind of difficult to figure out who the favorite should be. And we just put up there some of the picks from those mile split experts. Looks like most people think well, two of the three think Sherry, Bergen, and Ho also getting mentioned as well. So it looks like it's those three are the popular names here. How do you see this race playing out with the Newbury Park crew not being there, but a bunch of the other top names are?
Yeah, I mean, right now, Gavin Sherry is like just being given the benefit of the doubt because he's the only one that's kind of zagged when everyone was zigging, right? Because Bergen, how all these other guys were at running lane, and he was just keeping it simple, doing what I'm doing. I'm going, staying in the Northeast, doing
Yeah,
that, and winning. He did run a very fast time there. I think he broke Don Cabral's high school record on that
yeah.
course. So he himself is starting to break some records, not just the Newbury Park boys. So he may be looking like, hey, I'm the fastest to ever come out of this region. and now I can try to become one of the fastest ever run in San Diego. And I think because his record is kind of flawless, he hasn't really, but he also hasn't really beaten. He hasn't had been challenged by the Newberry boys, so you have that factor. I think at the end of the day, though, he's flawless. There's no reason to doubt him right now. He's one of the top guys in the country, so I'm willing to give it to Sherry as the favorite. Not give him as winning, but to crown him as the favorite. And then
Mhm,
it's round two for Bergen and Riley to try
mhm.
to you know rematch of between the two of them and say, hey, Newberry's not here now. Now it's just us. Now we're going up against Gavin Sherry. Maybe we can take down one guy as opposed to going up against a group of four. So, but I like the ranking of Sherry, Bergen, and then Howe.
Mhm. Yeah, and Bergen and Howe were real close to each other in Alabama. It's just 1 second. So flip a coin on that one. Let's play more recruiting here. Do you know where these guys are going? These three?
I believe Sherry's going to Stanford.
Sherry's going to
Am I right on that?
Stanford. Guess where
Okay.
Bergen is going?
What state's he from?
Colorado.
Going to Colorado?
He's going to Stanford.
Stanford. Okay. Stanford, Stanford.
Do you know where Riley Ho is going?
North Carolina.
I'll give you a hint.
No.
Not Stanford.
North Carolina?
No.
Oregon.
He's from Michigan. He's going to Michigan
Michigan.
State.
Michigan State. Ooh, Michigan
State.
State. That's a
Yeah.
replacing Morgan Beetle Scum, like that.
Big pickup there. Big pickup there.
Stanford
And
though,
then go ahead.
where's Margot Langen going?
Margot Langen, let me see, is committed to
This shows
Villanova.
Villanova. Oh, there we go. Get some Philadelphia love in there.
This could be a
I'm
whole
changing my
show.
picks.
I just click on
Margot for the win. I'm going all in on Margot. He is my. I'm just. I just feel like he's the guy. He has it in his blood. The Stanford boys. No, I don't believe in it anymore. I'm all in on Margot Langen. I mean, Olivia Ekpone has him finishing fourth. Corey Mole
Mhm.
has him finishing third. Gordon Mack has him finishing first. Margot
He
Langen
was
for the win. I'm doing
he
it.
was second at Northeast, 4 seconds behind Sherry.
Yeah.
Uh,
He was playing it with him. He's like, we don't, hey, top eight qualify. We're good. We're just going to take it easy, let him have his victory by 4 seconds, and then he's going to get him in this one. This is like NAU getting second or third at the regional, and then they come
mhm.
back and win. When BYU crushed them, that's what we're seeing right here. Sherry crushed Langen in the regional. Langen's going to have the last laugh.
Upset pick there from Gordon.
Upset
This is
pick.
a fun game where I just click the person, I say guess where they're from, and then guess where they're going and guess where they're from. The next ranked person, Gitch Hayes, is committed to North Carolina. So there's your North Carolina pick. You kept
There
mentioning
you go.
North Carolina, so I wanted to give you at least one runner that's going to North Carolina, and there it is in Hayes.
Is there
Okay,
anything that Gavin Sherry or whoever the eventual champion here is could do that would be more impressive than Newberry Park? I guess, like, are they just creating an unrealistic standard for these guys? Because, like, are we gonna see a Foot Locker champion and we're gonna be like, yeah, that's great. You didn't
here's the
rank
thing.
14-10, you know?
Here's the thing. Because Newberry Park is so good as a group, we don't really pay attention to them individually
Yeah.
as much. So I think, yeah, I mean, Sherry breaks one of these guys breaks the course record there. That's a historic mark. People would obviously talk about it, but when you're talking about Newberry Park, you're not talking about one guy. You're talking about the whole group. Like in isolation, if Colin Solomon went out and ran 14:03, and if those other Newberry Park guys weren't there, so if he ran 14:03 to Zane Bergen's, let's say 14:09, all the talk would be about Salmon. It wouldn't really be about Newberry Park. But because Newberry
Yeah.
Park goes and scores 29 and has four of the top, what do the latest rankings say? Four of the top 15 or 10? Do they have
Well, they have three of
oh
the
they have
top
Aaron
three now.
and they have Aaron at nine. So because they have four in the top nine, that's just where everybody's focus is gonna go because why wouldn't it? It's ridiculous.
Dude, I'm really liking my. Is it? Oh, is it Margot or Marco?
Marco.
Marco. Oh, I've been calling him
Marcio.
Margo. I think they spelled his name wrong on the thing. So Marco. Sorry, Marco. I was calling you Margo. I'll be following you at your Villanova days. Dude, he's gonna win. Like, low key, this guy's gonna win. I'm ready
I
for this.
I'm excited. See, now you have a real strong reason to watch. So
I do.
East Bay
I'm
champs
excited.
on Saturday. Check it out. All right, let's go to the track. Some track news here. Charlie Hunter of Oregon, mid distance stud, reps Australia, going pro. Going pro, Gordon. Put out a little video, and at the end of the video, they flashed a logo. It wasn't just the Nike logo, it was the logo for Pete Julian's group that does not have a name yet. So they didn't actually say the name because there's no name to say. And then later, Donovan Brazier talked about how he was pumped to train with him. So, Charlie Hunter, we assumed he was going pro. You were talking about that, I think, an episode or two ago. But now we know where he's going. So he's not going to be with that same group with Hawker and Tier in Eugene. He's going to be training with Pete Julian's group, which gives him the opportunity to train with Donovan Brazier, which is a pretty good person to train with.
Yeah, I mean, especially he's focused on the. I mean, he is a good miler, but I think he's recognizing his bread and butter is the 800.
Yeah,
And if you have an opportunity to train with Donovan Brazier to be like crushed in workouts by the fastest man in the world, you take it, and then you become even better. So uh, I think it's gonna be good signs for him. I think he's gonna be making multiple Australian teams, and he has the potential to make a career out of making multiple finals and always be in the hunt to potentially get a medal. Like if your training partner is Donovan Brazier, you're in good hands.
trivia question. Who's
Hit me.
older, Donovan Brazier or Charlie Hunter?
Well, Charlie Hunter.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't think people would assume that.
Well, okay. Well, I would, but he was an old dude for Oregon, right? He's like 24
25.
right now.
25.
25, yeah. So he should be going pro. Let's be honest. He shouldn't be running in college at the age of 25. So the whole like international athlete, the age in high school and it doesn't count towards your eligibility thing. Oregon, a lot of NCAA schools are able to kind of manipulate that to get much older athletes. Like, oh, I'm a 23-year-old freshman because I technically never went to college,
Yeah,
even though I was running on a club in a different
right.
country. Uh, but think about this, man. It's kind of wild. The Oregon
The tw-
DMR, the 2021 Oregon DMR of Cooper Tier, Cole Hawker, and Charlie Hunter was
yeah,
probably one of the greatest DMRs we will ever see. I mean, two Olympians on it, one guy who was almost an Olympian,
yeah.
who is just like crazy.
Well, and we could have seen it run. They could have run it back too.
They could
That's the
have.
even
Yeah.
crazy part. So you have on the same team the 2016 NCAA champion in the 800 in Donovan Brazier and the 2021 NCAA 800-meter champion in Charlie Hunter. And the 2021 NCAA champion is older than the 2016 NCAA champion.
That is a fun fact.
That's a
Use that
wild
in
stat.
trivia. Use that in
I know.
trivia.
I think I'll have to. That's crazy. I mean, Hunter was great last year. You look at the 1500s and the mile performances, and then when you get to his main event, the 800, he was really solid. Made the semis in Tokyo. I think he's going to be great, and the fact that he's older, I think, will help because he's mature. He's stepping into a training situation where he's training with the best guy in the world when he's healthy. It'll be fun. And Brazier, I mean, who does Brazier train with really at this point? Because I know Engels is off. He's down in Mississippi now, right? And then there a lot of other members of the group when it got disbanded went different ways. So I don't know. And already it was kind of split between who trained with Salazar and who trained with Pete Julian. So I don't know how many people he has to train with. So this is probably a ideal situation for him as well too.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, even training with angles, you're training with a miler, right? So that's good and all for certain types of workouts, but then there's those fast stuff that
Mhm.
no one's gonna be able to keep up with him, and I think Hunter will be because he's gonna be expected to be able to run 48 seconds, run a 49 consistently, so
Yeah, yeah,
not that Craig Engels can't do that, but there's a difference between 800 speed and 1500 speed. So.
yeah. Trevor in the chat asks, "How will Oregon track look this year after losing 3 studs?" Gordon, what do you think?
Not as good as last year. Um,
Breaking news.
let me bring up my document that I use on Oregon.
Wow.
Hold on, give me. I
Document
think
that I
yeah,
use on
I'm
Oregon.
my
Sounds
document that.
interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just looking at who they have now on their roster. Let me bring it up. So, okay, obviously they lose Hunter. They'll have Luis Peralta, who's just
Mhm.
like he's a good 800-meter guy, but he's not great. They'll still have Reed Brown, who's like a good miler, but not great. They still have Aaron Benfeld, who will be a good 3K, 10K guy, but not great. So they have like good but not great in the distance. By great, I'm meaning like can potentially finish like top 4 in a final.
Yeah.
They obviously are going to be put a lot of weight on their sprinters this year between Micah Williams and this guy named Xavier Narn. They're going to be looked upon to score a lot in the shorter stuff. They have a good multi athlete and they have a good triple jumper. So it's going to be a unique kind of year for them because we're used to Oregon distance, right? And
Mhm.
while there will be some Oregon distance there, the big points will be coming in the 60 from Michael Williams, in the triple jump from this guy named Emmanuel Imaji, and in the multis. And just like the stars at the distance level, they're pro now, right? Now new
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
might arrive, but you don't really see that. I mean, the best distance persons they have are Peralta and Brown, and they have good times. Like Peralta's run 146, Brown's run 356 in a mile, but 146 and 356 is not really an elite time anymore.
Right.
You need to be running 354 and 145, 144. So they'll still be good, but they're not going to be as good as they were obviously this past year.
Yeah, and as Tom brings up in the chat, he says Oregon really needs some good recruits and transfers, and transfers is the wild card, right? And also
Yeah.
international athletes as well too. Recruits, like if you just look at that group, that DMR, they hit really well on both their recruits, and that's not always a guarantee. But Tier and Hawker, they were as good as advertised, and then you have a great international athlete coming in in Charlie Hunter. But that doesn't always happen, and all it takes is having one or two recruits not pan out, and you're struggling for a bit. And then if you do want to rely on transfers, well, then the amount of time that they're there isn't as long. So then they're moving on, and then you're getting this high level of turnover. So
Who's
yeah,
going to have a
you can't replace that. I mean, it's just impossible. As you mentioned, it's like one of the greatest DMR groups of all time.
I'm going to make a prediction now. December 10th of 2021. You know who's going to have the best DMR
Hmm.
in the country? Can you guess?
You gonna say NAU?
No.
Okay.
Who do you think I would say?
Notre Dame,
Nope. Keep
Stanford,
guessing. Nope. One more guess, and then I'll tell you.
Villanova.
Nope. Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to have the
Ah,
best DMR in the country.
that was my next
You
guess.
know why?
Why?
They have a great transfer. You know who their transfer is?
Hmm.
The Division II NCAA champion in the mile, Mr. James Young from Academy of Art. He's
Okay.
transferring. So you throw him. They got Mario Garcia Romo, and then
Yeah.
they have a guy named Baylor Franklin, who's a 147 800-meter guy, and John Rivera, who's a 148. So they have two good 800-meter runners, and they have two great milers in Young and Garcia Romo. That's that's the recipe you need, right, to put together
Gordon
a good
calling a
DMR.
shot on December
So yeah,
10th.
Ole
Gordon.
Miss,
Oh.
2022 champs, calling it.
I saw this story. I got excited about it because I like it when people do multiple events, and I especially like it when people have already won a gold medal do multiple events. Yulimar Rojas said that she wants to do the long jump next year, which is really exciting. She's obviously long jumped before, but she's completely obliterated the record book in the triple jump. So it's fun that she would take on this challenge. So she just for perspective, her wind legal PB is 688, but she jumped a 727 wind aided with a plus 2.7. And just for reference, world record outdoors is 752. That record is obviously stronger than the people consider it stronger than the triple jump world record. So she has some work to do, but I like that she's going for it, even if we're not talking about world records, if we're just talking about her competing. She mentioned the interview, like last year she was thinking about doing it, but because the way the schedule was in Tokyo, they couldn't do it. Which let's just pause for a second and say how ridiculous it is. You have a 10-day track meet and you can't figure out how to not overlap the long jump and the triple jump. Guys, what are we doing here? Like, what are we? We're not making accommodations for Safan Hassan tripling or anything crazy like that. We're just asking, don't put the long jump and the triple jump on top of each other. You got enough runways, you got enough time, make it happen. I digress. Are you excited about this? I mean, this is kind of fun because she's good enough in the event where you can see the possibilities, but she obviously isn't a shoe in because it's an entirely different event.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much. I'm not when I say too much, I know nothing about the mechanics and the crossover ability between triple jumping and long jumping. The dumb me just says, well, they're both horizontal jumps. They both require similar muscle strength groups that you just gotta do it differently. Like one time you're jumping 3 times, the other time you're jumping 1 time. It's just,
More speed in
it's
long
the
jump,
same. Yeah, you
more
just need to
speed,
run
less
fast
technique in
down the
long jump.
run. Yeah, just run fast down along the runway. So my dumb self would say like, hey, it's not that big of a challenge, but at the same time, it is something that's like kind of unique where some people decide to not like be very diverse in track and field and they just go all in on one event. Like there are even like 100-meter guys who are like, I don't want to do the
Yeah,
200.
yeah.
Like they're like, I'm just going all in on the 100, 200. It's not for me. And that's like, whoa, why don't you want to get good in both? And I think Rojas was like, yeah, I can be the greatest that's ever lived in triple jump. Why do I need to go and get seventh in the long jump when I could just be perfect in the triple? And I think now that she's done everything she could ever do in the triple jump, I think
Yeah.
it's time for her to give herself a new challenge. It reminds me of when Ashton Eaton was like, hey, I'm going to try to get good in the 400 hurdles. Let's see
Mhm.
if I can make like a Diamond League final in the 400 hurdles. And
Yeah.
I look at it that way. She's such a great athlete that she needs a new carrot to attach, and it's like, hey, what if I got really good in the long jump, and then I can challenge myself in 2024 and try to become a double Olympic champion.
Mhm.
Because I don't think she's going to lose her triple jump dominance by putting more time and energy into the long jump because she has such a wide margin of victory
Yeah.
that she can afford to kind of lose a few centimeters there and still own that event.
Long jump's obviously more speed based and less technique, right? That's what they tell you.
Yeah.
So when you talk to people who are historians of the long jump and they talk about why are the performances not as good as they used to be, a lot of them point to the fact that people are specializing now. So there's fast people who could be really good long jumpers, but they're not jumping. So I mean, she's run a 1194 100, but that was back in 2013. So that was 8 years ago. Like she doesn't have 100 to her name, so we don't really know the top end speed. I more just look at okay, she's long jumped over 720. Yeah, it was wind aided. She clearly has enough speed. She's 6'4". I mean, if she was 6'4" running the 100, you'd be like, wow, that's like a very, very, very tall person running the 100. She's got the technical aspects down very well. It's tough. It's no guarantee. I remember talking to a track coach a long time ago who said that they pay, long and jump and triple jump get paired together, but they're not in many ways not that compatible at all. Like they both use runways and they both jump into a pit, but there's a lot of differences between the two, but because they're both horizontal jumps, people group them together. So again, she's done it enough to where you're like, all right, she clearly has the ability to go farther than she has before. Just how good, I don't know. And to think she's going to be just as good in the long jump as she is in the triple jump, obviously that'd be a really impressive performance for her. But I like it. Again, I like it because she's taking on a new challenge. And what else is there left to achieve in the triple jump? Get the top 10 marks of all time, the top 12. At a certain point, you got to do new things to motivate yourself.
I just thought of something. We're always talking about how to do fun things in track, and this got me
Hmm.
thinking. We're talking about this topic. If in order to get good in long jump, she's probably going to need to do a little more speed work, maybe hop into 100. Hear me out. This is what I want to see. I want to see an all Olympic champion 100-meter dash. Hear me
Mm,
out. 2 races, 1
I
men,
like
1
it.
woman. And the only people who are allowed to be in it are 800-meter Olympic champion and up and the field event Olympic champions. So we're going to have a Thing Mo. We're going to have Safan Hassan. We're going to have, what are the other Olympic champions? Steeple champ. We're going
Valerie
to have
Allman.
Valerie Allman. You're going to have the long jump champ. You're going to have Rojas in the triple. You're going to the shot put champ.
Yeah,
You're going to have
everybody.
every Olympic champion that's not 400 and under, because obviously a 400-meter runner or 110 hurdler or whatever would
Yeah.
do it. And we just see who's the fastest Olympian. Like, that wouldn't it be kind of cool just to see like the
Yeah.
greatest athletes in those sports all just do a 100-meter dash? Like, obviously, we're gonna see the throwers like not thin, but you seeing the shot put champ go up against the high hammer throw versus the javelin versus the
Yeah.
discus, like that's gonna be a mini battle, right? Maybe they get a prelim, right? Maybe because there's more than 8 people, you have the 4 throwers do like a first round, and then the winner of that gets to get the
No, 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 no,
final
no, no, no.
lane in the
You
final.
you put them all. No, no, no one gets in the final. You all got to run through because those field event people, a lot of them are going to end up beating the 10K person and the steeple person.
Yeah.
Like
No, I'm gonna say for the
those throwers are
throwers,
quick.
the 4 throwers.
Yeah,
You
they're
think
quick.
a thrower can beat
Yes.
Safanasan in 100?
Uh, Depends which thrower, but I think the explosive
The Olympic
power.
champions.
Yeah, I think they
Really?
could. I think they could. Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
Valerie Allman can beat Safanasan in 100?
Oof. I don't know, but I'd love to see it. You got me. You
Right?
got me
It
hooked,
would be
Gordon.
cool.
This is a good
It
idea.
would be
This is a
cool.
good idea. No, throwers are incredibly explosive. Again, maybe at that last 40 meters starts to close. I guess if we're using blocks, a lot of it would depend on who's seen blocks before and use them. But they're going to be in the lead. They're going to be in the lead at 40. A lot of those throwers are
Yeah.
among against
I
distance
mean,
runners. Now, I think the long jumper is going to win in most cases. We're not including hurdlers.
no. Because
Yeah.
400 and under, you don't include.
Okay, so the long jumper is the favorite in all of these. Just to be clear.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Long jumper should be the favorite. But this would be the situation where the triple jumper, Rojas, would want to be, she'd want to win this race to kind of get herself prepared to be a long jumper.
Like Barshim versus Krauser, who you got?
Wait, Barshim versus Krauser. I don't see.
I mean, it's good,
I
right?
think Barshim. I think Barshim. Right?
Have you ever seen Barshim? But you've never seen Barshim run more than 15 meters, not making a J. You've never seen him run.
Yeah.
You
What
don't know.
about Mondo? What about Mondo in the pole vault? Because he has to run down the
Mondo would be a
runway.
good pick. Right. Pole vaulters would be good too. Again, I think distance runners would struggle in this. The 10K
Okay.
runner
What about
and the steepler would struggle. 5K runner would struggle.
so Mondo versus Emmanuel Courier? Courier actually might win it because that's
Well, he's got
the
he's
800.
got some 400 in him.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Courier and a thing, they do have that 400 speed. So maybe should I
Uh,
not invite 800-meter runners, or should we let them in? So maybe it should be mile and up, like 1500 and up, and then field events.
no, let the 800 runners in. Let them in.
Okay.
They get to be in.
Okay.
Give me it. Well, yeah, they get to be in. But the hurdlers and 400 down, I think you're right. Because
Okay, I'm gonna bring.
the long jumper has a leg up on the 800 person. So if you're going to exclude anybody, it should be a long jumper because most of those people sprinted. But some of those 800
Okay,
people have never sprinted in their life.
okay, so I'm gonna bring up the. Give me your podium, your top three in this men's 100-meter final. You have Emmanuel Courier, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Joshua Cheptegei, Salman Barega, Sulafine El Bakali, Eliud Kipchoge, Tambury
No.
and Barsham, Mondo Duplantis, Matildis Tetaloga, the long jump champ, Picardo from triple jump, Krauser, shot put, Daniel Stahl, discus, Nowicki, I said his name wrong, hammer throw,
Yeah. Yeah.
Chopra, javelin throw. And I'm not going to include, should I include Damian Warner, decathlon?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do 100, so
Well,
no, they do, no, not include him because they train for the 100. So no decathlon. You're not
he'd be
invited.
my he'd be my pick.
Okay, so
If
what's your top three? What's the order?
I would go Tentaglue first.
Okay.
I would go See, I'm a little biased towards Mondo because I know how fast he was because he ran a bunch of hundreds in high school. Didn't he win state in the 100 or am I making that up?
He didn't win state. He just competed at state, I think, or something like
But he
that.
ran like I'm thinking he ran 10.7 or something. That number sticks out in my head. And I remember talking to Dennis Shaver when before he came into LSU, and we were talking about could he make the 4x1? Like would he put him on the 4x1? And you know how good LSU is. So I'm putting Mondo second, and then I would go Pichardo probably third.
So you want to put Career or Ingebrigtsen
No, no.
in the top
Look,
three?
Ingebrigtsen's great. Ingebrigtsen's get great, but most guys they're getting walked in 100. I'm sorry. I love distance runners. They're getting walked in 100 against all these guys. It's just the reality.
I think Emmanuel Career would win. I don't know why I
I
think that.
If it was a 200, I would yes, 100%.
Yeah.
He would blow out everybody in the 200. 100, I don't think he'd have enough time.
Okay. So I'm going, but I still think I'm going Career for the win. I think Tentaclue would get second, the long jump, and then I would go Duplantis third. And then who do you think would be the fastest thrower? Ryan Krauser, Daniel Stahl, Wojciech Nowicki, and
Yeah.
I can't say his name, Chopra, the Indian guy. So
He's
javelin, hammer, discus, shot. Who would win that battle, that sub battle?
he he's Chopper's the shortest of those guys. Am I correct in that? Or would it be no, I mean,
I don't
Krauser's
know.
massive. Krauser's
Also,
massive.
Chopra is the
I'd
only one that
probably
has to run to throw. Like they run with the javelin, right? So there is that forward
Sure.
motion that they have to make.
Sure, sure. I'll go
I'll go
I'll go him,
Chopra.
not yeah, not no.
Yeah.
I mean, Stahl is a massive guy, but I'm telling you, those guys are explosive. Those men and women who throw are way, 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 way quicker than a lot of people realize.
All
So,
right, let's bring up the women's field. All right, you got a Thing
okay.
Mo, Faith Kipyegon, Safan Hassan, Peruth Chamutai, Perez Chapchichir, uh, Lassen, I can't say these people's names. Maria
Lasses Kane.
Lassiskene, high jump. Katie Nago, pole vault. Miambo, long jump. Rojas, triple. Gong of shot put. Almond, discus. Anita of hammer throw. Shiying, javelin. What do you got? I think
Uh,
long,
Mihambo.
I can't say her name. My God, I'm the worst at names. This is the worst podcast clip I've ever created of not being able to say these athletes' names that I cover. Anyway, I'm going long jump champion to win this.
She's got a 11. Well, she ran 11.5 last year in the long
Yeah,
jump,
so she's
but
going to win.
or in the 100, or she's run 11.2 before. Yeah, Mihambo. I mean, I would take Rojas. I know it's kind of boring. See, this would be a situation where I think a thing Mo might be able to slip in for that third spot, But I mean, Najat's probably pretty quick out the blocks, and I think someone like yeah, I don't know. That one's tough. That's a toss up for me for the third one. I would
I
be
think
stunned
because
in
there's
all of these if the 1500, if anybody above 800 ever placed top 3, I would be stunned in these. I would love to watch it, but I would be stunned.
I think what would make this fun is you have 2 rounds. You have
Yeah.
a round that's 8, 15, 5, 10 steeple marathoner. Top 2 qualify for the final. All right. And then you have another round that's high jump, pole vault, long jump, triple jump. Top 2 go to the final. And then you have a third race that's shot put, discus, hammer, javelin. Top 2 go to the final. So you have 6 that make the final. And then you take your 2 uh, at large qualifiers based on time. And then you have your final to make it an 8-person final. That's what you do. So you get to see, a throwing only race, a jumping only race, and a distance only race. And then they take the
Yeah.
top 2 from each of those, and then you get your ultimate final. Dude, this would be a great event. I would
This
love this.
is again, I'm the Gordon idea judge here. I give this one a thumbs up. This is a good idea for you. I would watch it. Cuz we're always talking about race a football player, race a baseball player, which is
Yeah.
cool too. But this is way more
Race an Olympic
realistic.
champion.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see it. I think it would change track people's perspectives a bit too, which would be a lot of fun. And then people be like, "Wait, have everybody run a 10K?" And you just ruined it, dude. No, nobody wants to see
And
that.
then you could put money on the line where like if you win your field event group, like if you win the
Yeah.
thrower race, you get a bonus and then you get a bonus for top 3. So it encourages the throwers to try because obviously they know, hey, I'm not going to beat the long jumper champion, but hey,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe I
yeah.
can beat the hammer thrower.
I think it's pretty clear the jumpers would be solid in this, the long jump, triple jump. But next time if we ever have a thrower on the pod, the next time we do, well, we will in the future. We need to ask them this question, where they think they would
Yeah.
stack up in the 100, right? If we talk to Krauser, be like, "Hey, you and Ingebrigtsen is the matchup that everybody's talking about in the 100. What do you think? You betting on yourself?"
Yeah, it's just like we don't know because we don't know how because they also have the momentum because once they get their body moving, it's gonna take a while for it to
Yeah,
slow down because this is a lot of
yeah,
mass going forward. So they
yeah.
once they get to their top speed, they're not losing it because it's just gonna carry across the finish line. So I don't know. We gotta make this race happen.
Mm, I'm looking at the fastest O line 40-yard dash, and apparently in 20, because O linemen throwers
Yeah,
somewhat similar.
yeah.
Just a quick Google tells me Taron Armstead in 2013 ran 4.71 in the 40 for the fastest time. 4.7's pretty quick. Like we're used to the world of 4.2s and things like that, but those are amongst guys who would be sprinting. So 4.7's pretty fast.
We'll see what happens.
I'm
Anyway,
excited.
that's what got me thinking. Seeing Rojas go to long jump, it made me want to think of the ultimate 100-meter race with non-sprinters, the bunch of Olympic champions. Anyway,
I think we I think we got Tom. I think is our first ever member of Kevin's Kings. I'm seeing this in the chat.
ooh,
Welcome, Tom. I will not let you down. I know Gordon's goons are off to a strong start, but I'm gonna hold it down for you, man. I'm not gonna forget about this. I'm honored, um, and really just humbled at your support. So there might just be
Tom, you,
exclusive Tom. There might just be
Tom, you're
exclusive
dead to
Tom
me.
content.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I might just do the exclusive content for members might just be for me and like Tom. I might just do a Tom cast. That's I'm so
There you
excited
go.
about this. This is a big day in my life. I'm pumped. Okay. What do we got left here? Oh, Travis Laird was a clue on Jeopardy. That's pretty fun, right? You like trivia questions. See if you can get this one right, Gordon. Ready? This is from last
Okay.
night. In 2021, LSU's men's team claimed the outdoor track and field NCAA title, aided by Terrence Laird's time of 10:05 in this event.
Hmm. What is 100 meters?
Correct. Do you think I don't know what they said, but do you think someone said 100 yards?
Maybe.
That'd have been
That
tough.
could be a thing.
Do you
Yeah.
do you think Terrence Laird probably obviously pumped that he got mentioned on Jeopardy? That's a bucket list type of deal. And 10:05 was his PB wind legal. But he also ran 980, right? Windy. Like I think of Laird as a sub 10 guy. I think part of him's like, man, I wish I could run just a little bit faster. So on Jeopardy, it started with a 9.
What do you think would have been, would have been better if they would have picked what would be the most hardest time to find out what event that is, right? Because 10:05, I think people can kind of think track, 100-meter, 10. That sounds about right, 10 seconds. But if they would
Yeah.
have done like an 800-meter time, would they have been like, what does
Yeah.
140 mean? Like how
Yeah.
what is
Exactly.
that? Like
Yeah.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
meters that is. Yeah.
No,
It's
100%.
they should have tricked them with that.
I was in a writing class back in the day and I wrote down a 5K time. It was part of the story I was writing. And there was a person reading it and that it was like 1550 or something. And the person got to it and didn't know how to read the number. Like 1 5 Colt, like what? Like, is this a time of day? Like they had no, to your point, they had no point of reference for a running time at all outside of seconds. That was it. Maybe hours. If I wrote it out as hours, they would have understood it. But they had no clue. Yeah. I would have liked to seen what they what the responses were. Um okay, do you want to talk about this did you put this Nike Adidas thing in the rundown?
I did not.
Oh, Nike versus Adidas, shoe wars. What it says in the rundown. Nike seeks to block imports of Adidas knit shoes, Gordon. So Nike, this is according to a Bloomberg article, asking the International Trade Commission to block some Adidas shoes that are coming in, claiming that the technology in 49 Adidas shoes is actually the Flyknit technology, which is infringing on Nike's patents. Um, Adidas responded, said that their Prime Knit technology, quote, resulted from years of dedicated research. So this is nothing new. There's a lot of patent wars within the shoe world, but of course it gets more attention now because we're in the midst of great advances in shoe technology. Um, Nike says that the Flyknit technology is the product of $100 million spent on development. 100 million, and they settled lawsuits in January 2020 with Puma and Skechers. What do you think, Gordon?
First of all,
They're going to be able to
Flyknit,
ban
Prime
the imports.
Fly Flyknit and PrimeKnit, two interesting names. I think Flyknit is better named than PrimeKnit. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of all the different streaming sites. You got Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. I don't use a Plus, a Prime, a Max.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
shoe names using words is just always wild. So it seems, I mean, I guess this is their job. There's people who are hired at Nike to find ways
Mhm.
to look at the competition and hey, you you use the same color scheme as us. Lawsuit.
Yeah.
But patents are always interesting. Like, does anyone own the patent of shoe? Like the idea of putting a foot into a bunch of material to protect it.
Mhm.
Does someone own that
Mhm.
patent? Like the overall
Yeah.
shoe patent? I don't know. I don't know how this works.
Need a
Like,
historian and a lawyer on this pod. I know that there's some crossover here in terms of, hey, I used to work at Nike and now I work at Adidas, or hey, I used to work at
that's true.
Adidas and
Yeah.
now I work at Nike. What I've heard is once you make one move, you can't really go back again. But I'm assuming a lot of these people are very familiar with the same types of technologies because they've worked in similar companies. Maybe they had their training from similar people, but we're all going to end up in the same place, whether they call it something different or they'll figure out a way to tweak it. But obviously, Nike had the big head start with all the Vaporfly stuff, and now you see everybody catching up, and now everybody pretty much has a road shoe. And then we saw last year with the spikes. Remember, Nike was out in front, and then other companies were letting their athletes wear Nike shoes. Sometimes they were having them take the swoosh off. Some people got released from contracts because they weren't able to get them a carbon fiber shoe. But I think by this year, it's going to settle down and the technology is going to be widespread enough. Or at the very least, athletes will get to make the choice about what shoe they wear. That'll be something that's discussed in the future in contracts. Do you think we're going to be talking about this in, say, 2 years? Like shoe technology, is that going to be a big deal? Because we didn't really until a few years ago, and then it became half of the discussion. But I could see a world where we go back to focusing on something completely different.
Yeah, I think now that everyone is slowly catching up to Nike, I also think that like, is there another design out there that's gonna be another big drop in times? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think there is. Um, Maybe in a few like 20 years is a new type of plate that they create that's like a crazy new like invention that's on stealth fighter pilot planes that they put into shoes,
yeah.
and all of a sudden people are running another 5% faster. But I don't know. I think people also are
So,
just sick of it. Like this, like the same way people are sick of talking about Russia doping. They're like, all right, let's. Uh, we get it. They cheated. We get it. The Nike shoes are fast, but we got to keep moving on. We got to start watching the actual sport that we came here to watch,
mhm.
and not just talk about what's on their feet.
So Nike obviously had the plate, right? And then remember Adidas came out with the plate where the it was split, so it was like fingers, and it was following each one of the toes. And then I think it was it JoJo who posted those Puma shoes where yeah, she
Yeah,
okay, I'm looking at it now on December 2nd on her Twitter, the second one, like you can see the plate in between the two pieces of the shoe. And I mean, I don't know, aesthetics people can argue about. I don't know about the functionality of it, but people are taking this idea of the plate and the foam and then spinning it in different ways. And I think different ways will work for different types of athletes because the whole idea is to at the basic level, you need to be able to perform in them without getting hurt. And then past that, you need to think about, all right, what's the one that's going to give me the greatest advantage? But yeah, when I saw her post these Puma shoes, I was like, okay, wow, we're like really, really, really like experimenting here. Like, there's even a sticker on it. It says, "I'm made out of carbon, but I can still break, so please don't try," because the plate is just exposed.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, plates, foam, leather,
Right.
cloth, I don't know. It's just a shoe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's lots of very well paid, very intelligent designers at all these companies that are paid to just
Yeah.
create better shoes year over year over year. And they
Mhm.
had a big bump past few years. And now they're having little skirmishes of being like, hey, that's my idea. No, it's my idea. That's my idea. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyway,
So
let the shoe wars
yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Tom in the chat says a plus, a prime, a max, a goon, a king. That's a good summary for the show today. It's good. Oh man. Wanted to end with some sad news in the running world. Found out a few days ago that Matt Shearer passed away. If you remember, he was a All American during his time at the University of Oregon. Ran the 400, the 4x4. Went on to become a incredibly successful pacer in the professional circuit. Rabbited multiple big time races and some of the fastest people in the world to records, then went on. He stayed in the running world, worked at Runner Space. So just an incredibly sad bit of news to hear that he passed. I remember watching him at Oregon when he ran the 400. I mean, he was very very solid runner for the Ducks, part of some really good 4x4 teams for them as well. And then um, the one time I talked to him, I was new to covering running, and I interviewed him because I wanted to know what a rabbit did. And he was very generous with his time. He had this website where he kept detailed splits and of all of his races and like what the pace was called for and what he actually did. And he was always right on. I mean, the guy knew how to hit that 50-second quarter or whatever the race called for, he could do it. So he just explained the whole business to us and how it worked and why he wanted to get into rabbiting and what made a good rabbit. And it was really cool to learn about that aspect of the sport because not everybody learns about it. Not everybody gets the opportunity to kind of see the sport from that perspective. And as I mentioned before, went on to stay in the running industry. So just want to send condolences to friends, family, everybody who knew him. Obviously, he'd been around for a while, so he had deep connections in the running world. So very sad day.
Yeah, I mean, I he was the epitome of the ultimate rabbit. Uh, I just like when you think of if I couldn't name. There's rabbits in pretty much most elite races nowadays and for the past many years, but there's only one rabbit I could name, and it's him. And
Hmm.
I remember vividly him rabbiting David Rudisha in New York in 2012 when Rudisha ran 141. He was the rabbit there, and
Hmm.
he's the result of so many men's PBs over his time as a rabbit. I looked it up. He rabbited a total of 74 times in his career. That's
Wow.
74 times he chose to prioritize the field over himself. That's a
Hmm.
lot of times to not think about yourself and to prepare for a race, to put your body through a hard effort, and the only thing
Hmm.
you get out of it is the ability to help someone else. Now, obviously, he's getting paid in some of these situations, but he chose to transform his career into a very kind of selfless career where it's not about winning medals or
Hmm.
qualifying for teams. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna live a life of trying to better these races, and
Yeah.
give the fans great moments like Rudisha running 141 in New York. Like
Hmm.
that's I'll never forget that race. And seeing like
Hmm.
Rudisha out there, just like, and then right behind him, the greatest 800-meter runner ever. And then you see a 141 on US soil. Um, but yeah, it's so sad. I was shocked when I saw the news. Uh, he's gonna have a legacy though. I mean, he's gonna be the only rabbit I ever remember. Like
Hmm.
from a face, from a name perspective, he was doing something crazy. And hey, man, these things are just so hard to like kind of comprehend, especially when someone's young and it happens. It's just like it's just sad.
Hmm.
Yeah, but hey, the guy had an all-time career. The most he was more unique than anyone else. He did something. He
Hmm.
found an avenue that no one else will really replicate. He paced 74 freaking times in his career at the pro
Yeah.
level. That's incredible. That's just like 74 over like that's a
He was
lot
a
of races.
mainstay.
Like,
He was a
yeah,
mainstay. Like if there was a big 800 race, he was involved in it. And
yeah,
I'd mentioned how good he was at hitting the splits. He was also a bigger guy too, which made him perfect for this
yes.
because he was out there blocking the wind and leading the way in all these races. And he came at it from the 400 side of things, right? As I mentioned at Oregon, he was a 400-meter runner, ran 45 low, but had this incredible ability to do it and the desire to do it too. So, as I mentioned before, it was a very sad couple of days in the running world. So, our best to everybody who knew him, worked with him, trained with him, was impacted by him. Condolences to everybody. So, I think we. Is there anything else you wanted to preview for the weekend, Gordon?
Not really. USA Club Cross is happening, but it's kind of just an all. The last weekend was a bigger weekend. We'll uh
Mhm.
we'll bring the pod back on Monday. Start talking about some other things. So, but have a good weekend. Should be
Yes, have a good weekend. We'll
have a,
we'll talk about the East Bay National Championships on Monday. If anything comes out of Club Cross, we'll talk about that, and we'll start kind of doing our year in review and look ahead to 2022. So thanks to Colt and Travis for producing. Thanks everybody who joined and is now a member, especially Tom, first member of Kevin's Kings. Put that on your LinkedIn, Tom. We'll talk to you guys next week.